In this episode, we talk about somebody's mechanics
and scap loading.
Brent Porcio, David Ardsma, Bob Wheatley here at the @TopVelocity hashtag Pitch and Chip show, where you go to Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, @TopVelocity hashtag Pitch Tip, ask your question, hashtag baseball tips. Haven't really bring anything yet outside of pitching that's coming, and we're going to answer on the show. And today, I don't know. I think we got a question for today. It's a little different, but it'll be fun. Let's see. Master Loud asks, big fan of Top Velocity. I'm 16 and threw a bullpen last week. What are some things I need to work on? Okay, so we all watched your video, each one of us. David Ardsma, Bob Wheatley here, and I did. So I'll say what I saw, and then they can go in and add into it. You know, I just basically said, not to take away, because we all kind of talked about it, not to take away all the key points. I'll talk about what the first thing I saw, difference between a linear to rotational delivery. If you're not focused on being very linear down the mound and getting those linear forces going to the target, specifically in your lower half, then your upper body typically reacts to that. So what I'm seeing is you kind of collapse or rotate off your back leg, and then you land on your front leg and you keep spinning, your back leg flies around, very rotational. Your upper body, even though you get closed into front foot, there's still not a lot of hip to shoulder separation and a lot of linear trunk movements that are really critical to ball speed. Also too, when you hit front foot, you're so vertical over your front leg, that's why you're spinning off so quickly. So really learning how to load and get a good force going into front foot, build a good stride, all the things we hear about, hit front foot, then separate, and then getting your trunk to follow all that linear power is really what I would advise. What do you want to add?
One thing I noticed, back knee, basically right when you start going forward, your back knee collapses down and in. You're not keeping the torsion on the back part of your knee, so to keep that power back so you can use it to drive forward. Also, when you're landing on the front leg, too vertical, just like Brent said, not low enough, not using that front leg enough. So it's vertical, and so you're kind of coming over it instead of down against it and being able to use that front leg to propel you forward.
Yeah, just to go off of what David said about the front leg, that's one thing that I will look at, because that's one thing that I'm definitely working on. And I actually told Brent that by the end of my season, when I started feeling fatigued, didn't feel like I had the same strength and power in my legs, it was really hard for me to stick my front leg. I almost felt like I could drive really well out of the back, but I almost felt like I was falling off the mound. I couldn't stop my momentum, and that's kind of what I see with you. When you, let's say you get that drive dialed in, you fix the rotation and stuff, if you can't stick that front leg, then it's not going to translate into the ball, because that's the last moment where you can really get all your vectors going towards the target. And that's what I saw.
Funny thing is that was Bob's problem. Bob saying when he felt a little weak, that's where he really felt the issue. He was tall on that front leg, when unable to really stop himself. When I felt weak, I was collapsing my back leg. I was collapsing very first move. That knee came in, and all my power went away. So I basically went from really strong base to nothing. And that's funny. We both had our two completely different issues when we felt weak.
Yeah, so I would say in the progression is to work back leg first, learn how to keep torsion longer, and then hip to shoulder separation, and then front leg. Wouldn't that be a good order to work on all this?
Yeah.
Back leg, separation or counter rotation, and then front leg.
Yeah, you have to have, I talk about front leg because that's what I'm working on this off season, but that's with the understanding that I've developed the power overall, and then also the biomechanics, the drive out of my back leg. If you don't have any power to propel yourself into that front leg, it doesn't matter if you have the mechanics down. I mean, you have to build power in order to translate power, to use power.
Yeah, so that kind of is icing on the cake at that point. Yep. All right, next question. Victor Wu asks, how do you get more scap loading in the throwing arm? Should I strengthen my back, shoulders, and do shoulder mobility exercises? I'm going to throw it to Bob, because big issue he had. Doesn't have a lot of horizontal abduction naturally. I don't know, has it gotten better? Yeah, it's gotten more. But I remember initially you walked up to a wall and you leaned into the wall and his elbow barely went back. Obviously gotten a lot better. So that's why I referred to Bob. What have you done to get more horizontal abduction, which last year was a big thing?
Right, like you said, I had very little movement here. I had very little external rotation, and if you want to throw hard, you need your arm to be able to lay back in order to fire it forward. So some things that I did, I see a foam roller right here. What I'll do every day before I start, I'll lay down. You're not grabbing me that from the ground. I'll lay down on the foam roller. I'll put it down my spine right here, and I'll just let my arms just flop on the ground. So you're forming like this, flex T. You like lay here flat on the ground, and I know I'll do it until both my elbows and my wrists are touching the ground. So I'm getting all this good range. So that's one. You talk about the
Biomechanically.
Well, biomechanically, I'm trying to open up all my trunk as well. So, you get your trunk rotation here, but one thing that we did last year is I really threw my elbow back. Like that is part of counter rotation. I come back here and really throw it because that just bought me, scap loading. So that just bought me a little more time. But the only way that I felt comfortable doing that was because of the strength that I had built. Sure, when you get the range of motion through different mobility and stuff, that's going to help. But if you're not doing any chest, any back, I mean, you're asking a lot of your body when you're throwing it back there, especially when you're trying to throw hard. So bench press is going to be big. It's just building a balance. Like if you bench all day and then you don't do anything in the back, you're going to be in trouble. But if you're gonna need a strong chest, you're gonna need a strong shoulder because all that load is hitting right here, and that's keeping you.
I mean, that's a huge point because think about it. If I'm under a bar and I'm moving it down and that bar jumped twice the weight, it went from like 200 to 400 pounds. What would my arms do? They would want to get out from under there, right? So if I'm blowing down the mound and driving hard, hitting front foot, separating, so all that energy is about to hit my arm, and all this energy to hit my arm is enough to throw 95, and my arm can't handle it, what's it gonna do? It's gonna get out of there, right? Yeah. So I really believe upper body strength, not just chest, but lat, shoulder, rotator cuff, bis, tris, the whole thing has to be strong enough to be able to handle a load of a 95-mile-an-hour arm, which is, a lot of torque, hundreds of pounds of torque in that external rotation and abduction position. So yeah, I think upper body strength is huge, and it's so underplayed in pitching. Upper body strength is so underplayed in pitching, don't you think?
Absolutely, without a doubt. One of the big things I like to do is, even in the middle of a lift, right when I get done with the bench, and you're feeling tight in here, you're feeling strong, is to get right on a door frame and right one arm on both sides of the door, really push forward, and then try to let your body, put your body completely forward so you're only holding it from your hands back here. So your entire body goes through the door frame and you're holding it, and so it allows your entire shoulders, your both sides, your back, everything to have to take your entire body forward while holding it back here. So you actually start opening it up right in the middle of a lift, so you don't start rounding, you don't start feeling this. So it actually forces you to completely open it up. Do that right when you get done with a lift and you got those couple minutes. Try to get somewhere where you really move it out. Get against a wall and put your arm here and just let it sit there for 30 seconds. Or put it up against the wall and just let it sit there and just start building that mobility, where you're forcing that scap back even in the middle of your lift, so it just becomes normal even at the times where it's going to be the hardest for you to do it.
Yeah, build in flat bench, build in dumbbell bench. Work deep into those positions if your shoulder is strong enough for it. Don't overdo it and then go out and throw like an idiot. Make sure you build up the strength slowly, but in those deep ranges, because you're asking your arm to do that on the mound. I would rather first ask it in the weight room and then go ask it on the mound. Don't you think that's a good way of doing it?
Without a doubt.
Yeah,
build that strength up so you can take those loads, and then you can actually use it.
Yeah, I mean, if you're doing push-ups and you're going down to like 90 degrees, I mean, look at this angle right here. And I was talking about getting way back here when I'm throwing. Like, you're gonna be on the mound trying to throw 90, trying to throw 95, and yet you've never asked your chest, you've never asked your shoulder, whatever it may be, to get in those ranges. It's just kind of ass backwards. Like, you need to train those muscles. You need to get strong in those ranges so that when you get on the mountain, when it's time to perform, it's all going to be there for you.
Even great if you have a TRX band, you have any type of bands or something like this, get in that push-up position and just hold those ropes so you're actually hanging like this, and that's forcing yourself to open up and to be in that strong position. So you're building muscle and you're teaching it to open up.
Yeah, your arm's going to want to more naturally go into those areas when you're throwing now because it knows it's strong. It's confident it can handle loads there.
Yeah.
All right, awesome question. If you have a question, go to Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, at Top Velocity, hashtag pitch tips, hashtag baseball tips. Reach out to these guys. I put their Twitter handles on here. If you reach out to these guys, we'll see you on the next episode.
Yeah. Holla, we them boys. Holla, we them boys.